Elements on a story we've been following all summer. A man initially arrested tied to a deadly shooting in June now faces federal gun charges. Amir Logan was arraigned on 2 counts of possession of firearms and ammunition by a convicted felon, 2 counts of possession of firearms and ammunition by a drug user or addict, and 1 count of possession of a firearm with an obliterated serial number. Logan was initially arrested in the shooting death of 24-year-old Zion Brooks at the Arbors apartment complex in Fargo, June 24th. He was never actually charged with the homicide, only felony gun possession, and that state charge was dropped ahead of this federal indictment.